This is the Startup Social Podcast, your inside look at the Austin startup world. We get real with local founders and business owners who share their toughest challenges and biggest wins.
All right, this is Daniel Griggs. Thank you for tuning into the Startup Social Podcast and TV show. If you hear me, my voice is hoarse. You may have heard on the last week's podcast because we do a lot of them at once. I went to the University of Texas game versus LSU, and I don't typically drink, but I had 2 beers. I say my wife put them in my hands, and I was screaming. I yelled a lot, and so my voice is hoarse. But Jonathan's going to be doing the most talking anyway. Did you go to the game?
Yeah, no, I didn't go to the game. I was tailgating a little bit, though.
Yeah. It's just as good of an experience. It was a great game, though. It was a really good game. So I'm going to give an intro, and then we're going to get into it. Jonathan Newar is the founder of Austin-based Captain Experiences. Captain is a booking platform for outdoor sports. Instead of calling guides one by one to check pricing and availability, use Captain to search for the trip you want at the price you want on the day you want and book it on the spot. Read our 100% verified reviews to search it, book it, live it. CaptainExperiences.com. Jonathan, I appreciate you for coming.
Yeah, good to be here, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
So I kind of know the story already when you got into Captain Experiences, but kind of first off, let us know like where you from, where you grew up with, and everything else.
Totally. So born and raised in Houston, Texas. And actually this time last year I was in oil and gas finance in Houston. And so the company I was working for sold, and I go to the guys on our team and I say, hey, we always talk about how we love to go fishing. Why don't we book a trip to celebrate the deal? And all the guys are like, great job, Jonathan. You just nominated yourself to book us a trip. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's how it is. How hard can it be? So I Googled literally Galveston fishing charters, and it was, a complete mess from there.
Yeah.
Whichever of these fishing guides were paying Google the most to rank were ranked the highest, but the bay fishermen were there with the offshore guys, and it was just a mess. I had to call them one by one to check pricing and availability. I was like, there's got to be a better way. You can call an Uber, you can book an Airbnb. Why can't you do this with a fishing trip? And so that idea kind of built on itself. And then I went and talked to some mentors and things. And they said, hey, you'd be stupid not to pursue this idea. We think there's a lot of potential here. You need to go and talk to these guides. So from there, I went to New Braunfels, Texas, and Galveston and talked to all these guides. And they said, yeah, we really need something like this to run our businesses and that sort of thing. So that's when I came back to Austin, and I, reached out to a couple groups to see if they could build a website for me because my background obviously wasn't in this sort of thing. And reached out to you guys, received, a couple different proposals. But, you guys seemed like an honest group that could, do a good job, whereas a lot of the other guys, it's tough to get a read on, I guess. And you guys were always responsive and, willing to work with me, through building out the vision. So here we are today. Site launched in June. We booked a few trips this summer. We've got over 60 guides on the site, and it's working great, yeah.
So how good were you getting? You can be as specific as you want. It's a transparent show, but how good were you getting paid in your lifestyle when you were at the oil industry where you were working at in Houston?
Yeah, I'll just say that it was comfortable. I was on a good track. With all of that stuff. But this opportunity really just kind of presented itself, and I said, hey. This is a real issue that people face, on a regular basis. And not only people like us that would be looking to book a trip, but these guides as well. They're going back to their families every day, trying to make a living, introducing people to the outdoors. And so, they really need something because one guide told me, for example, that Yelp is trying to get him to pay $800 a month to market on Yelp. And he goes, people go on there to book a restaurant reservation, not a fishing trip.
Exactly.
So they really need what we're providing. So it's really fun and rewarding to work on something like that.
Even though you did because I could tell you did your market research, seeing everything was going on, who may have done anything similar before, etc. Did you ever have any doubts about getting it started? Like how long like after you found out, after you thought to yourself, I should do this, how long did it take for you to go from I'm going to quit my job, or I'm going to plan to leave the job that I'm at and pursue this full time and build up this company?
It's tough. It's tricky. I was looking at a lot of different, career paths, I guess, and in the back of my head, this opportunity was still there, and and I said, hey, it's going to be a great experience. Let's see, what can happen. And so, the oil and gas company sold at the end of January of this year. I incorporated Captain Experiences at the end of February. Hired you guys at the end of March. Launched the site at the end of June. Booked a few trips, and here we are trying to grow this thing. Yeah.
So this, is as I say, fresh as it is, because it's been moving really fast, which I commend you a lot on it. And I say that because we do work with a lot of startups, and one thing that you'll see with startups is that they expect things to just happen. Mm-hmm. Even though they'll have a website or whatever else it may be, they're just like, okay, when's things are going to start to roll in, right?
Right.
But you have a hustle to you, especially when we talk about the show, which I want to touch. Not a trade show, the accelerator.
Right. Mass Challenge Texas, right? So
you were doing a lot of things like that. What was kind of I'll put it like this: what drove you to be able to be like, I'm going to hustle my way into this, even though I just started this thing, like it's moving really fast. I'm going to make this work. What's your motivation behind it?
Once again, just helping these guides and getting people involved. And you think about all these, grander issues in our society. People are addicted to technology.
Yeah.
Interpersonal relationships and things like that are kind of falling by the wayside. Mm-hmm. And you just think about, how we're stuck to, these notifications and our calendars and that sort of thing. And then you just think about, taking a quick fishing trip, and, all of that goes away. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity. And then, you think about, the current state of the environment, and the best way to educate people about that is to get them out there in that environment with a responsible guide. Mm-hmm. So that's all we're really trying to do at Captain, is solve both of those main issues, and get people out there. And that's what really keeps me motivated too.
Yeah. So if and I know this is fresh. Mm-hmm. Biggest challenge so far to get, because I know you got a vision, especially when you first started business right now. You're like, I got a vision where I want things to be.
Right.
What do you feel like is the biggest challenge to get you to that vision that you have right now?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest challenge that we're facing right now as a business is just getting people to know about Captain Experiences, and that's why doing things like this are great.
Yeah.
But, it's really just getting people to know about us, and, maybe that's their Google rankings, maybe it's through handing out cards on the side of the street, what have you. But just getting people to know about our site, because the guides that we're working with really love what we're doing already, and people are willing to jump on board. It's just kind of getting the word out.
And I'm going to mention something. Anybody that's listening, this man just said rather than doing Google ranking or passing out cards on the side of the street. I love that. I'm going to say that because everybody feels as soon as you got a business or something, I'm going to do this on social media. I'm going to do this and do this and do this. When you say something like passing out cards on the side of the street, that means you have the mindset to understand, I'm going to do whatever's going to work. And I got to try a few different things.
Totally.
And then when you're a startup, realistically, you got a budget. So you can't just be like, oh yeah, we're going to do social media. You're going to throw in $26,000 a month doing social media or something like that. Mm-hmm. And even if you have, say for instance, it was somebody and they had an investor that threw a bunch of money to it, you still have to figure out your audience. You know what I mean? And I know with you have two different audiences, which is the guide and then which is the actual customers for people to book it. And one thing that I always preach and I tell people is that if you have something, not just a startup, if it's something new that, some people may do, but you're really pushing to make it a lot bigger than what majority of other people are, it takes a while for people to get used to it.
Totally.
But the way to actually speed those things up is to be aggressive with whatever form of marketing it is that you're doing.
Right.
So let's talk about the Mass Acceleration, was it?
Mass Challenge, right.
So tell us about exactly what that's about, how did you find out about it, and then what did you do, like your process of like going to it and getting everything how it should be?
Totally. So the Mass Challenge program is really a global program. They offer a few accelerator programs, in places like Boston or Tel Aviv or Switzerland even, and so they also offer it in Austin, and then they have the expansion of the Mass Challenge Texas program in Houston. So this was the first inaugural year that they were doing the program in Houston. And it was a real opportunity, being from Houston, to join that first cohort. So I went and pitched, a few months ago in the summer to their panel of judges in Houston downtown. And it went really well. And so, they invited us to join the program as one of the youngest companies in the cohort.
Nice.
And it was just a great experience, working with the other founders. There were some amazing companies in our cohort. And just working with them, bouncing ideas off each other, and then also, the Mass Challenge team there. Mm-hmm. Super helpful, and just kind of honing in our focus and saying, hey, don't go too broad, don't go into all these different sports, really just kind of focus on Texas, focus on fishing, and just book some trips. And so they were really helpful with everything, and that program ended last week, and now I'm back here in Austin. But that program, to end, there was a Mass Challenge showcase and finale at the House of Blues downtown in Houston. And so each startup got to set up a little table, and I had these posters printed from people that have taken our trips.
Nice.
And people were coming up all night, trying out the site, on the laptop, signing up for our newsletter, that sort of thing.
Nice.
So it was really, really fun to do.
Good. And you, so I'm going to touch on this too. And I'm touching on this because there's a lot of people, I'm talking about people that have a startup, whatever it may be, and they're not thinking and moving the way that you're moving, meaning you're looking for opportunities, you're getting things in place, and then you're moving forward with them. I'll say this. Of course, Captain Experience is a client of ours, but so Jonathan was like, I need this website in 2 months, which is a very complicated website to develop out in 2 months. We have a really good process. And remember when we talked on the phone before we moved forward, and I was saying, like, the details that we need in the communication is going to be huge as we're going throughout the process. And the dude had his stuff in order. Like, there's always details that we help people fill in because they don't think about this stuff from a technical side. But he had the details in order. But even what you're talking about, when you thought about it and doing some market research and seeing, is this something that's going to be valuable to guides, or how am I going to have to get them on it? Because they have to be on board. No one can book if you don't have guides, right? Because you said it's like 60 something. On
right,
the
over
right
60, yeah.
Yeah, I see it every time someone starts another trip.
Right, totally, exactly.
And so, but you did all your research and then you did all your homework like beforehand.
Totally.
Which is huge, and it's a huge part of the success that you have right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let me ask this though, before you started Captain Experiences, did you ever do anything to try to start your own business or any type of little side hustle or anything like that?
Yeah, actually. Well, so in college, I was actually the president of the club lacrosse team at the University of Georgia.
Nice.
And so that really kind of was a business in and of itself, because it's not like a D1 team, like University of Texas football or something. Because club teams are kind of, we paid dues, and you kind of had to manage the finances and things. And so that really taught me a lot about, being prepared and running my own business. Did
you have any type of, my story is kind of different, but honestly, I'd be scared if I left the job and then immediately hopped into like entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Well, you're rubbing it in now. Yeah.
But it's a majority of people would be in that position, and they're trying to, first off, there's no right or wrong way. Right. I think a lot of it has to do with your personality and who you are, and a lot of it, like, it's mindset. Like, some people be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna leave it and I'm gonna get this done." All right, when's the money gonna start rolling in? They're not really intentionally doing anything. You know what I mean? So, like, I'll give you an example, and then I want to hear about really your thought process. If you can give us, like, if you can elaborate as much as possible. For me, I went away from football. In 2014, I stopped playing football. I was doing personal and athletic training. And when I got into it and I was building up a client base, and I was actually making good money. While I was doing it, I was doing web design, like as a freelancer, I guess you can say. And I was also had an apparel company, which is really kind of bullshit, but I had an apparel company, like I had t-shirts and stuff. So I was doing all of this, and then I was like, I want to shift to web design. The reason I got out of personal training was because I didn't want to have to be there every single time. And it's like I have to literally physically be there for me to be able to make a living. So that's the reason why I switched to web design. But I completely left that and I did web design, which at the moment when I first started, I just liked it, but I didn't know how to develop. I had to go teach myself how to develop. I didn't know the type of people that I need to go to. I didn't even know how to pitch these people. I never did sales, and was like, this is what I want to do. So I got into it. It was if somebody told me, like, my full story isn't this podcast isn't about me, it's about you, so I won't elaborate that much. But if somebody would have told me what they did, and it was like saying it from my perspective, like my background, I'd be like, nah, you don't do that.
Yeah.
Like if they was just saying what I'm doing, I'd be like, you might not want to do that.
Right.
So for you, yours is different because you were working somewhere, you had a steady form of income every single month. So what was your mindset outside of even, we know it's going to help the guides and everything, but you as a person, like, what was your mindset, or was it not even something that was a huge deal to you? Yeah.
Well, I mean, so someone told me once, put yourself in a position where your success depends on yourself. And it sounds, kind of, like of course, my success is going to depend on myself, but then, you think about starting your own company and, it's complete, that's the only way that it is. And that's, what kind of really, keeps me running around like crazy, trying to get this thing off the ground is, if I don't do it, no one will. It just won't happen. It just, will not happen, period. Someone else, a competitor will come in and do this thing. Probably, I would like to think not as well as we would. And so that's what really keeps me going and keeps me, running around like crazy.
How did you get these guides on board?
Yeah, well, so
when you launched the site.
Yeah, so we just listened to them, honestly, and that's what I would recommend to anyone starting a business is just listen. Everyone will tell you exactly what you need to do, and then you just go build it. And that's why we were able to build a great website. Is I just listened to these guides, and they'd say, hey, we need calendar management. Okay, we'll go build that. And so. They'll really tell you exactly what they want you to do and what they need, and most importantly, what they're willing to pay for. So,
did you call any of these people up? Did you cold?
Oh yeah. Sorry, so I get sidetracked. But
hold on. Look, I started everything by cold calling.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing any ads. I wasn't doing any of that. I was literally just calling people up. Yeah. It was like, hey, just figuring out how I need to pitch them, but at the same time. Doing what you mentioned which is listening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So go ahead. Like what the process.
Yeah. Well, so what I will say, and this is what makes Captain a little different than some of our competitors is, a lot of people said, hey, this thing will scale so much faster if you just scrub the internet and input all these guides, without them knowing, and then you just bring them trips and they're on your site. But we said, hey, well, then we wouldn't really know what we're selling on our site. We wouldn't know exactly. And so, I've called every single one of our guides. My brother Michael's helped me call some of them too. We've got a friend named Jake who's been helping out a lot too. And we've spoken with every single one of the guides. And what that does is it lets us get a feel for their personality and for what kind of trips that they're offering, because every single trip is different. And that's what, some other sites that just kind of scrub the internet and throw these guys on there, you got to know what you're selling. And so, we speak with them and, if they want to change something, say, hey, I'm now offering this kind of trip or that kind of trip. Yeah. We let them do it and we're better for knowing that.
Building relationships
totally.
is a huge part, which I keep going back and forth with this because as I mentioned, so many people want to start a business. And everything you're mentioning, they don't do.
Right.
And they think they don't think it's a problem.
Right.
Meaning, we're in this digital world like you were talking about. We're always on our phones or laptops or tablets or something like that.
Right.
And people forget that a human and human interaction, even if it's a phone call, because a phone call is, if somebody calls your phone, it's like, okay, what the hell's going on?
Exactly.
What's up?
Right,
what do you need? Versus text or something like that, you know what I mean?
Or email, yeah.
Exactly. So when you're making phone calls and you're really connecting with these people, with any type of business that you start, when you're building personal relationships, because it is very common, and we have clients like that, to where it's like, hey, we're going to put their information on there, they'll come in, they'll fill out, etc. Right. I'll put it like this, I won't say there's a right and wrong way, but there's a way that's going to take your business or make your business completely different.
Totally.
Which is, there's other websites, like when you tell us about it, there's other websites that do
Right.
what Captain does in general,
Right.
but not when you get down to the details.
Exactly.
Of it all, right.
Exactly.
The relationships, and then you help the guys understand the type of trips that need to be on there.
Yep.
So it's very much custom catering
Totally.
to all of the audiences and everything.
Yep.
So you cater a lot to them. What's the? I'll ask this here too. Balance. So you've been doing this now technically since February.
Right.
Is there any balance that you felt so far that you feel like you should have? Because you've been going, trying to build up your business. Balance between, I'm thinking about Captain from the moment I go to sleep to the moment I wake up, all throughout the day.
Yeah.
I need to relax and give myself at least some time of, Jonathan time.
Yeah,
You feel like you need any balance so far?
Yeah. I mean, I will say it's tough, because it really is. It's not just a 9 to 5. Every single guide, we've touched on it. Every single guide that's on the site, I've uploaded myself, their photos and all that, and I, just kind of hang out, watch the football game, while I do that. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to kind of balance your life with everything. But that's what makes it fun is that balancing act, and it's really important too to just kind of have your stress relievers, I guess.
Yeah.
And
True.
hang out with friends, hang out with my girlfriend, that sort of thing. To really kind of mellow out and keep that balance. Yeah.
Yeah. The last one we had, Sean. He was saying he had like a little stroke. He's 29 years old.
Oh my God.
And he's fit. He stays in shape.
Yeah.
But it was because of stress which is, I don't want to say anything you can't control. It's tough to control.
Totally.
Because you're just going, and then especially as you see things start to work, it's like, man, this is working.
Right.
Let me do more.
Exactly.
More.
Right.
So you start to forget a lot of stuff. He was mentioning about family or the girlfriend he had at the time, etc.
Right.
For me, I had mentioned, I was like, mine was because I have a family. Well, we have 4 kids now. When I first started, it was
talk about stress.
I know, right? It was me and my wife, and then our oldest now. And my thing was that I didn't communicate it well. First off, I'm bad at communication anyways, in regards to like, I just go, and it's like, oh, that's what I'm doing. I don't give any explanation. I just go. But that's the part that's kind of like, everyone's different, but mine was just like, I didn't communicate the phase that I was. Like, I truly believe as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, there's phases with everything. And there's going to be phases to where it's just like, hey, I gotta work on this 14, 16, 18 hours a day.
Right.
And I don't preach some kind of like hustle, so your eyes bleed kind of thing.
Right.
But there's just those moments and those times. It's like, look, at this point in my business right now, if I don't do this, it will fail.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you just have to do it. But I like to hear everyone's different perspectives when it comes to balance.
Totally.
So what's the next goals? What's your next goal for Captain? I know you got a vision inside your head. What's that vision, if you can tell us that vision and the next goal for Captain? Yeah,
I mean, I think the next immediate goal is to be, the go-to booking platform for fishing in Texas. I think that's really the next step for us. And then, from there, I mean, we have global aspirations to be, the leading outdoor sports booking platform across, the globe. And, if we're going to space, maybe we can do something out there.
And booking on to go to
exactly, Mars. Go bungee jumping on the moon or whatever. But that's the goal. But you've got to kind of work backwards, from there. And so I'd say today it's to be the leading booking platform for fishing in Texas, whether it's offshore fishing out of Galveston or fly fishing here just south of Austin in New Braunfels. Or whatever, you can go, or catfish fishing in Lake Texoma at the Texas-Oklahoma border, northeast, south, or west in Texas if you're fishing, hopefully Captain can help you out right now.
Nice. And I'm about to brag on you a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like the things that he's saying. First off, he said he wants to be number 1 in Texas. Then he said he wants to be global. Like, it's a mindset to really understand the steps that you have to take to get from point A to point Z. Because right now, you're continuing to, you've already proved the point of concept, but for each next step, you have to continue to prove that. And then you want to go global.
Exactly.
That's why I was like, I want to hear that vision. And when you say global, and then this dude's talking about booking trips in the universe.
Exactly. Right. You got to start small though.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. You have to start small. And then when you say start small, to even talk about that, it means you have to start somewhere that's an isolated place, and you grow there, and then you allow things to plan. Because once you take over Texas, then it's like, okay, we can do the same thing
Plug
in
and
any
play.
other state.
Right.
Now we can do the same thing in any other country.
Right.
Now we can do the same thing in any other galaxy.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Things go on. How can our audience get in contact with you? How can they find you? Social media, website, all of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, social media has been huge for us. We were just talking before we got on the air about that massive tuna that one of our captains drew in Chatham, Massachusetts caught. But we're big on Instagram with that sort of thing. Big on Facebook. On Instagram it's just Captain Experiences. No space. Facebook Captain Experiences. We're on Twitter. Let's see what else. I mean, pretty much everything. We're trying to kind of blow it up. And then personally, you can reach out to me. Jonathan at captainexperiences.com. I can throw out my phone number too. It's 832-466-2848. Shoot me a text or call me if you're trying to book, or you just kind of like what we're doing and want to ask a few follow-up questions, what have you. Nice. Just love to talk to anybody about this. It's a passion and it's fun, and can't get enough of it.
Jonathan just defined hustle to y'all. That boy gave his personal phone number out to a bunch of people right now. He's like, I can change it later on. Yeah. That's good, man. I appreciate you for coming on the show.
Daniel, I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's been great.
Y'all go to captainexperiences.com. You want to book a fishing trip. He has guides on there that they've actually talked to, not people that just came through this information on the website. So it's catered directly to you. This is Startup Social. Thanks for tuning in. We'll chat with you next week.